Welcome to Fantasy or Reality, the Gambling Problem Podcast. I'm Steve and I'm your host. I appreciate you still being here with me. It is September 6th of 2025 and it's been close to 4 years since I've been doing this thing. I know I take breaks here and there. There's always time between episodes. Sometimes I'll do them every single week. Sometimes I won't do them for 6 months. Sometimes I'll record them in my truck and sometimes I'll record them sitting right here. But either way, I really appreciate anybody who's still listening or has become a new listener, who's ever, anybody who's ever written in. I really appreciate all of you. September 6, 2025. So this thing has been going for almost 4 years, and I haven't placed a bet since May 2nd of 2021. So I got just over 4 years and 4 months. And it's incredible. I feel so happy with the progress I've made in that time. All the things that have helped me along the way. I couldn't imagine being where I'm at if I, didn't start off by listening to several great podcasts that I've mentioned on here, all in the Addicted Gamblers podcast and the After Gambling podcast. Two great resources that helped me so much in the beginning. And then that inspired me to do this podcast myself. Wanting to give back and wanting to help just like they helped me. My therapist, Joseph, who really helped me dig into my thoughts and feelings and actions and why I behaved the way I did and what triggered feelings and why I didn't feel good enough and why, I felt like I wasn't worthy of my family, of love, all of that stuff. And the meetings I've gone to, all the great people I've met over the years, it's been incredible how much help I've gotten from them, and I can't thank everybody enough. And then, of course, my family, and especially my wife. She has been my rock, and I feel like her and I's relationship has never been better. The two of us are so open and honest about our lives and our feelings, and when we're vulnerable, and we support each other in every which way, and we love each other in every which way, and we really just have so much fun together, whether we go kayaking or we're sitting down watching The Sopranos for the 18th time in a row. It's just, we could be chatting away for hours, or we could be sitting there not saying anything, just watching TV or listening to music or whatever, and I just feel so lucky that she decided to stick with me through this. But that was because she decided to seek help for herself, and I decided to seek help. None of this is possible if you don't decide to seek help, if you don't make the decision to seek help, and you don't make the decision and look yourself in the mirror and say, I am worth this. I am worth the change. I am worth love. And that's super hard to do at first. It's really, really difficult to, especially coming out of an addiction, all the negative things you've done, the lying, whatever, the stealing, or whatever there's so many negative things that we do during our addiction. And it's really hard, really, really hard to look yourself in the mirror and really believe that you are worth saving. You are worth a better life than this. I know I felt that. I know when I looked myself in the mirror, I couldn't stand who I was looking back at. And now today I can really say I love and respect the person I'm staring back at. And you can get there too. But really this episode is about, what do you do if you have a family member, someone you love, that just refuses to get help? And that is a difficult topic, because I have a family member right now that it's not a gambling addiction, but it's addiction of another kind that I have tried to over and over again address with compassion and love and respect, and let them know that I care for them, and I'll be with them every step of the way, but they are just not ready to change, no matter how long it's been, no matter what the proof is in front of them. They just won't refuse. They just won't admit that they have a problem. They won't admit that there's an issue, and therefore they can't seek help. And that's really, really frustrating. And I've been dealing with this off and on for a long time. And there have been times where this family member has done well, and it's been great to see them interact with my family that I have today and see them actually smiling and happy and living a good life. And then there's been times where, like now, they don't appear to be happy. They're living a very unfulfilling life, and I know that they could do better. I know that they would be happier, but I also understand that when you are deep in addiction, you don't feel like you're worth it. You don't feel like you are worth the change. And that's heartbreaking to see, and it's heartbreaking as a family member to watch. And I can imagine what it was like for others to see me in that predicament. Luckily, or fortunately, however you want to say it, when I got caught this second time from my wife back in 2021 with the gambling again, I was ready to change. I could not live another day the way I was. I couldn't live with the lies. I couldn't live with the actions. I couldn't live with who I was seeing in the mirror. So I was ready for change. But unfortunately, so many people aren't there. The first time my wife caught me back in 2018, I didn't even recognize it as an addiction. I didn't think I had a problem. I just thought maybe I got carried away with this thing. And I was able to stop for a while, probably about a year, whatever it was, before I picked it back up again. But in that time, I didn't address any of the issues. I didn't look myself in the mirror and say, I am worth changing. I am worth more than this. And I know that this family member is, and I'm not going to say who it is out of respect. This is a podcast about myself, my recovery, and people who want to share on here. That is more than, I'll be more than willing to share that information with anybody who's open to sharing it. But, I'm not going to put someone else's business out there. But it's been difficult because it's been multiple times over the years where there's been obvious, right in your face, proof that there is something going on. All I'll say is, this family member has had overdoses. They've ended up in the hospital, and, there's been positive drug tests, and they, for one reason or another, will have one reason as to why there's something in their system, and also that it wasn't an overdose, it was one thing or the other. And that's hard to deal with. And the last time this happened, which was fairly recently, I tried to come at it in a different way, where in the past I would, say, hey, I know what's going on. I've been there. I've done these things. You can't lie to me. I would come at it in a more, I don't want to say aggressive, but more of a stop lying, like a upset way, or just being frustrated that someone was lying and not being forthcoming. But this time around, I think just from the years of therapy and so much time in this thing, I just understand that coming at it from that angle of frustration and anger is never going to get that person to take a look within. You immediately are going to shut down. I mean, just think if you're having an argument with someone and they are saying, you did this or you hurt me in this way, it's very difficult to hear when someone's attacking you. But if they talk in a way where they are using I statements like, I really see how much you're struggling, and I know you can do better, and I want you to be a part of my life in a positive way, and I want to see you happy. It's an easier way to frame that to that person, where it's, instead of attacking and coming at them in a negative way and saying, you are this, because, you do that and they already feel horrible about what they're doing, more than likely. Even if they have blocked it out or whatever, if they can't even admit to themselves they have a problem. But coming at it in that way, they're just going to think that they're an even worse person and they're really not worth changing. But unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't matter. I came at this family member in a very compassionate way, where I spent a good while just saying, listen, I understand. I've been in your exact same shoes. I've been down a long road with this addiction, and I've had my bouts with, overdoses and not, being able to stop and being sick and looking myself in the mirror and hating who I was and hating the actions I was doing, and really just tried to say, I love you. And no matter what, I'm going to be here for you. And no matter what, I just want you to get better. I just want you to be around. And, you know, uh, I tried to say things like, I didn't just try. I said, listen, I will support you every step of the way through a treatment center. I will find one for you. I will get you admitted. I will talk with you every single day. I will never judge you for anything you've done. Um, Even though I've been hurt in many ways, I understand that as the addiction. I know that this family member loves me and my family, but still, it's something that has to be addressed. I'll be there with you the whole way through treatment. I'll help you find a long-term treatment center. I will help you in every single way. I'll drive you to meetings. I will drive you to doctor's appointments. I'll talk with you every single day. I will find you housing when you get out if that's what's necessary. Anything. I am here for you. I love you. I will not judge you. And even with that, I thought that maybe I got through, but unfortunately, this family member still could not look themselves in the mirror and say, yes, you're right. I have this issue, because I just don't think that they're able to finally, after all these years, admit that there has to be a change, because that change is so difficult. Even though, like, I was talking with another family member about addiction and how they don't understand it, which I completely get if you've never been through it, or you've never dove into trying to find out, whatever. I don't fault anybody who doesn't understand it. It doesn't make any sense from the outward looking in. Someone is destroying themselves, and it doesn't make any sense from someone looking from the outward in. But even if you have lost everyone around you, even if you're living in squalor, even if you have no money, the thought of trying to change sometimes can be so scary, because even though you hate what you're doing, you hate yourself, it's as if you know, you've created this pathway. You've been walking down the same path over and over and over again. And as difficult as it may be, just think about the Adirondack Trail, right? It's super long. It's a super arduous journey. But imagine you've been walking up and down this Adirondack Trail. It's a difficult journey. It takes months. You're outside. You could be attacked by animals. There's a million things that can go wrong when you're out there. But it's a clear path, and you can walk along it, and there are markings, and you've been there before, right? Because you've been walking up and down this thing. To change, even if it's for the better, it's so scary, because you essentially have to turn from that path and look into the woods, look into the forest, and you have to create a new path. You have to get a machete, and you have to start chopping down the trees and walking through the briars and walking through the brush. And it is a difficult, scary thing to do. But if you are willing to change, you have to be ready to walk through that. And eventually, you'll walk up and down that path, and that will be the new, clearer path. And this time, it'll be a nice paved walking path, flat back and forth, because you're clean, you haven't gambled, you haven't done any of these negative things, and you've rebuilt a strong foundation. You're not walking on a rickety old bridge. You've now built a large steel bridge that you can walk back and forth over and over again. And that only comes with months and years of recovery through different ways. I mean, everybody recovers differently, but it is difficult when someone you love is in an addiction. They won't seek help, even though the proof is right there. And if that happens, if you've tried over and over again, you're at your wit's end, you don't know what to do, that's when, as difficult as it is, you have to start putting boundaries in place, because it can drive you crazy. And as much as you want this person to get well and be better, it doesn't matter if you take this person, kidnap them, lock them up, bring them, throw them into a treatment center, hold them down for the 28 days they're there, make them go to every meeting, make them do everything that a person would do if they voluntarily went. And the second they come out, they are more than likely just going right back to where they were because they didn't make the choice to do it. If you don't make the choice to do it for yourself, it's not going to stick. It doesn't matter. Of course, there are cases where someone does it for someone else, for the first few months or whatever, but if they don't make a decision for themselves that they are worth the change, it will never stick. So if you have a family member that will not listen, you have a family member that is refusing to change or look themselves in the mirror, that's when you have to kind of take a step back, put up some boundaries, and kind of love them from afar, because you can't be a help to them if you are in a state of stress. You can't be of help to them if you are upset all the time, and then it's not fair to the rest of the people in your life and your orbit. So what I had to do is essentially I have to accept the fact that this person in my life is refusing to change, and there's nothing I can do about it. So all I can do is once a week make a phone call, check in, let them know I'll be there for them, and just let them know I love them, and just make sure they're still alive. And just let them know also that you were there for them. Even if they won't admit that there's a problem, you were there for them no matter what when they're ready for change. And they don't have to say anything. They can be yada yada. Oh, there's no problem. Okay, that's fine. If you're ever ready to address anything, I'm here for you no matter what it is. And then I would just suggest, obviously, trying to seek out help of your own therapy to help cope and deal with this, because it's not easy to have a family member who you can see that is deteriorating. And it doesn't have to be addiction. It could be depression. It could be anxiety. It could be not taking care of themselves in a way where they're not eating correctly, or really taking care of themselves as they get older. It's difficult to see any family member that or friend or anybody that you care about that just won't seek help, won't change no matter how much you've tried. So the best thing that I can suggest that you do is seek help for yourself, and love them with boundaries and love them from afar. Check in with them occasionally. Don't cut them off unless they're really doing something like stealing from you or hurting you physically. That's one thing. But if it's just somebody that is just refusing to get help, then put the boundaries up. Seek help for yourself in the way of counseling, therapy, other groups like, there's like the Children of Alcoholics meetings. There's all these different meetings. There's groups. I know it feels like a lot of times we're alone in these situations, but there is a group for just about anything. There's always a group of people out there that are going through the same thing as you. And I know a lot of these things, the hardest thing to do is, go through these things alone. And the best thing you could do is just try to find a group of people that are going through the same thing. It just feels good to know that you're not alone, to get suggestions from other people. And that's the best that we can do until they're ready for help. But when they're ready for help, cautiously do whatever you can to be there for them, even if it's just offering kind words, loving support. Never with money, really, because as you're just typically enabling an addiction, but helping them get into treatment, helping them get to meetings, anything like that. So those are just my thoughts and suggestions and just stuff I've been dealing with recently, and just kind of wanted to share that. So other than that, everything life-wise is going great. I'm really proud of my wife for a whole bunch of things, but she recently started a master's program to go into being a counselor. She's been on this journey for a while, and it really just makes me proud to see how far she's gone, and the hard work she's doing while maintaining her employment and maintaining being a wife and a mother and all these different things. It's incredible. And also, she just reconnected with a friend she hasn't seen in a while, and that friend is going through some difficult times. And even though they haven't talked in a while, She literally just picked up and is driving 2 hours to go help her friend and be there for her. And this is just what I'm talking about exactly in this episode. My wife hasn't talked to her friend in a very long time, and the friend reached out, and they've reconnected. And even though it's been a while, my wife is there for them. It's been years since they've spoke, but she's such a good person and such a loving person that the second her friend called, it didn't matter that they hadn't talked in years. It didn't matter that they're, the struggles that they've dealt with. She's just there for her. And that's what I'm talking about in this episode. If someone reaches out to you several years later and they're looking for help, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's help getting into treatment or they freaking got a flat tire somewhere. Be a good person. Be loving. And be good to one another. I think that is the most important thing in this life, is just being good to one another. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your social status is. It doesn't matter if you're driving a freaking Lamborghini or a beat up Toyota. If we can be good to one another, this world can get better. We can be better to each other. We can love ourselves better. And I think that's the main takeaway, So, other than that, I hope you all have a great day, great evening, whatever. Thank you for listening. If you've gotten this far, be good to yourselves and each other. Bye.